Yes guys, welcome back to the channel. Andy Carter here. Thanks very much for checking out today's video, and we're talking pitching. And today's video is all about helping you strike the pitches better. A lot of players that I coach say that they struggle with distance control. Generally, they struggle with distance control because they struggle with consistency of strike. Now, I don't mean necessarily just hitting the ball out the center of the face, because I think we all struggle with that as well, but also the spin rates we get, the different trajectories. Once the ball comes out a little bit lower, a little bit faster, it tends to roll. It's just, there's so many different ways that we can pitch. So I'm just going to try and go right back to basics. Funnily enough, I'm giving you this video and literally 50 yards in that direction is Pete Cowen coaching Victor Perez, and he's coaching him short game. So I'm basically just going to tell you what he's saying to Victor. But today's video is about the quality of the strikes. I see too many golfers leading in this handle too far forward and digging into the ground. The digging into the ground is one of the key faults that we see so often. It's actually one of my own faults as well. We speak so much about trying to get the hands in front of the ball as you're striking for better quality of ball striking, but when you start to drag that handle to the left of the golf ball as you're swinging it, we're losing the bounce of the club. We're starting to dig with the leading edge, and as soon as that happens, it's very, very difficult to get the consistency of the flight and the strike. A lot of golfers that I see that tend to drag the handle of the club towards the target often hit this low shot, like so. I can demonstrate this, I do it myself, and I think it's mainly because the body weight wants to get towards the left-hand side, and we're so preoccupied with getting a good strike that we actually end up de-lofting the club face and hitting the ball super low. Now, I actually really shorten my swing then to get the right distance, but if I'm going to hit that sort of distance normally without de-lofting the club face, you see my swing goes a lot further back. I use the bounce and I'm able to get through the golf ball a lot easier. I'm able to hit the ball up a lot higher. If I do that same length of swing with the handle leading forwards like so, the ball pops out lower and it's gone into that very back bunker, so it's traveled a lot further. Now, I can't say that any of those were bad strikes, but the difference was the quality of the club face impact was the problem. And I say quality because I've got 56 degrees of loft. I want to hit it with, let's say, approximately 56 degrees. I want the ball to pop up into the air with a nice flight and some stop. I don't want to turn this 56 degrees into 46 degrees. I don't want the handle dragging towards the left, and I don't want to lose the bounce of the club. So what I actually want to do in my mind, rather than trying to feel like the hands are forward, I want to try and get the feeling that the hands are pretty much level with the golf ball as I'm striking. Now you'll notice we're going to start to use a lot more of the lower body as well in this, because we want the lower body to effectively carry the arms through the shot. That's the way I like to think of it myself. It's the way I like to kind of teach it as well. Just feel like the lower body just leads in, and then the club face will just release into a neutral position here. A lot of golfers will keep the lower body very still. They'll put the weight forwards and they'll drive their arms forward. They'll kind of push their arms forward, and it neglects any sort of movement in the lower body. So as you start to get to this point here, just trying to feel that the hips, even on such a short swing, like a short shot like 30 yards, still making sure that my lower body just opens up through the target, and I actually finish into a full rotation. The fat shots that I see so often are when the lower body stops through impact and the handle just drags in, so the leading edge just drags into the ground. Golfers that then try and use the lower body just kind of drag everything left, so even this right shoulder starts to work outside of the swing plane line, rather than making sure the arms will start to work downwards as the hips are then starting to rotate. So you just feel like there's two movements. One's going down, second movement is the hips rotating through, and you won't dig it. So you'll glide the bounce of the club along the top of the surface with lots of rotation through the shot, and then you're going to get a consistency in your strike, but most importantly, you're going to get consistency in your launch angle. The ball's going to pop up off the face consistently, rather than sometimes coming off firing low, sometimes going high, sometimes thin, sometimes fat. So the consistency of the strike will get better. I mean, we're always going to hit some bad shots, that's normal, that's fine, but the consistency of the flight is what's going to help you get the consistency in your distance control. So if we're going to talk back to basics on this actual setup position, where do we set up? And for a pitch shot of around about this distance, 30 yards or so, I'm going to get the feet. I'm going to use 2 club head widths for my width of stance. I'm going to flare open this left foot so I can use my rotation of my hips so I don't block myself off. And I'm going to make sure that the hands are just on the inside of my lead thigh, okay? So I'm going to make sure they don't go on the outside or the middle of my thigh. I'm going to make sure it's on the inside of my lead thigh so I can use the bounce. Grip position, I'm going to keep it pretty much the same. What I would do though, I would urge golfers that if you have a strong grip, so if your right hand for a right-handed golfer is underneath the club, this is something you're going to have to find out yourself if you don't know the answer to this. You have to find out if what your grip is. Is it strong, neutral or weak? Because this will massively affect how you swing a golf club. Strong grip like this will close the club face and dig the face into the ground. We do not want that. So I'm almost doing this tip on the premise that you have got a relatively neutral grip. So please, please, before you try any of this, make sure that your grip is okay to proceed. Because honestly, strong grip for pitching and chipping is just gonna leave us digging into the ground. All right, so let's try and get this let's try and get this neutral, even neutral to weak with the right hand more over the top of the grip. And we can see 2 to 3 knuckles of the right hand. That's a better position to be in than being in that super strong grip, okay? Because once I've got that stance width, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of weight on my left side, but only like 55%, just gonna press into it ever so slightly. And then from there, we're just gonna make sure that we've got plenty of rotation through the shot. In regards to swing path, I'm gonna make sure the shaft of the club points down the target line at around about waist height. So I don't want to let the club come on the inside too much. I certainly don't want to pick it up too much either. I'm going to make sure that the hands have hinged the club just slightly higher than the height of my hands on the takeaway as well. And that's just using the wrist set to kind of let the club just work upwards. So that's really all the club is doing in the golf swing. It's working up and down, setting into a nice takeaway position, and then we're using the lower body to release it back down through impact. And we shouldn't be seeing divots, really. We should be just brushing the top of the turf and just getting a nice brushing action of the ground. So you're using the bounce and you're not digging the club. So, I mean, it's quite simple, isn't it, really? It's just so hard to do. Okay, so stance. Club on the inside of my left thigh, neutral to weaker grip, weight 55 on my left side. Get the club into a neutral position here so the shaft of the club points down the target line. I'm going to lead the downswing with my hips. Picked it up off the top of the surface, plenty of height. So guys, take this down to the practice range. This, honestly, I promise you, is game changing from inside of 80 yards or so, depending on how far you hit the golf ball. Could be inside of 100 yards, could be inside of 50, but you know what? It's a game-changing part of the game that we have to get better at. All of us, by the way. I'm awful. I missed the green yesterday from 75 yards. We lost the hole and we lost the match 2-1, and this happened on the 15th hole. So you know what? It happens. But if we understand why, then we can get better. Because actually, as I was saying that, that's exactly what I did. That first shot that went over the back with my hands leading like this, that's what I did, because I was worried about the strike. It's towards the end of a match. Myself, Alex Evans, who is the caddy to Paul Waring, myself and Alex were 2 down with 3 to play. No, sorry, 1 down with 3 to play. And Alex was out of the hole and it was on me. And I was just like, it's into wind, it's playing longer, make sure you get the right strike. And I just pooed myself. Hands went forward, didn't really. Hands went forward, de-lofted the club, airmailed the green, made bogey. Paul and Tim made par, and we lost the hole, went dormy 2. So it happens, but I understood why. And I was very annoyed at myself for not just floating a nice one in there, and instead I was trying to drive one in, which was not the shot to play. So lesson learned. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this tip from Dubai and Jumeirah Golf Estates. It is tournament week, that's hence why Pete's over there with Victor Perez. Rory's going to be here next week, it's been confirmed, so I'm going to tap Pete up for some content. Can I have Rory for 5 minutes, please? Guys, thanks for watching, see you in a bit.